Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the amazing Tim Chizmar. Tim, how you doing today, man?
I'm right here. Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. Thanks for adjusting the schedule because I know I was supposed to be here and I wasn't able to do it. So thank you for working with me.
Oh, dude, life happens, man. But before we talk about why you're here, Tim, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You are a best-selling writer, award-winning speaker, comedian, actor, producer, a man of many talents. And you can also check out some of Tim's Spooky Ninja Kitty line of books. I have those links down in the description, as well as all his social media links. So what got you into writing in the first place?
Well, I as a kid growing up, one of my heroes was Stephen King. And so I read a lot of Stephen King and I dabbled in writing, but really kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to entertainment. When I was in college, I was doing live professional wrestling shows. I was running the radio station. I had a television show, and I wrote for the newspaper on top of being a full-time student and having two jobs. So I've always been a guy who just wants to go, 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 go. So I always have multiple things happening at the same time.
And it's good to stay busy like that, but it's also very hard to juggle all that. So, how are you able at the time to juggle all that and still be able to do what you're doing now? Like to be able to get to the place where you are now?
At the sacrifice of a family. Never married, no kids. So I don't know what this thing love is. What is love, Mr. Sledgehammer? So instead, I substitute that hole in my heart with cold, hard money and opportunity.
Right. Well, that's a fair trade off sometimes.
I think
Um,
so.
but not just that. Like I said, we talk about Spooky Ninja Kitty. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's a production company based after the most wonderful, great creature I've ever known, which was a little cat. This little tuxedo cat made friends with me, loved me first, and then I had never been a guy who had pets, but I ended up in a relationship with this cat where we bonded, and by God, I had a cat. And so I could talk all day long about my cat, but I know how people are. It's like, oh, I love my hamster. Nobody cares. But to me, he was family. He was my friend. He was my, I love that cat. So when I went into books, movies, productions, I do comic books. I do comics that are at stores. I do panels at Comic Cons, and it's all under the banner of Spooky Ninja Kitty because it was the greatest little creature I've ever known in my life. He passed away last September, so it's been almost a year now, and it's hard. It's hard because a little pet turns your house into a home, and now I come home to a quiet house, and people who've never had a pet say, "Just get another cat." To which I want to say, "Just get another kid."
Right.
It was a personality. This little thing trusted me, loved me. We had a good connection. So all of my entertainment pursuits I put under the banner of Spooky Ninja Kitty.
And you're right. Like especially when you lose that pet, it's the worst feeling in the world. Um, it's something. It really does take a bite out of you, man. Like we've been there, and I know it's not easy when you lose something you love so much. And it's cool that you're still able to honor the cat by doing all this stuff and keeping the memory alive. And something little like that. A production company named after and based around. That's such a cool concept to do. So, do you have anything coming up down the pipeline that you can tell us about?
Oh my God, all the things. So many. Oh, look, house. We're going to talk about house today. House. House. Yes.
I love it.
All the things. And here's some of my comics that are out right now: Golden Tiki and Evil Pie, which is with the Evil Knievel family. So that's pretty cool. And my movie Hell's Coming for You just came out on physical media, so Blu-rays and DVDs. And I'm in pre-production on Naked Alien Massacre, which is a like Predator at a nudist resort. So a lot of naked people and an alien hunting them the way God intended.
Yes, that's amazing. And I do have the links for all that down in the description, guys. So make sure you're checking it out. Make sure you're getting your own physical media copies of these films and being ready for the things that we have coming up down the pipeline. But man, in order for you to do all this stuff, especially in the realm of horror, it had to start for you somewhere, Tim. So I want to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Tim, the first horror movie that you watched was
Well, the first one that really turned me into a huge fan was House. Was House. And I know you're a fan of House as well. When I think of the earliest horror movies that I watched, there's a plethora, like Them with the giant ants, which really stuck out to me because there's a part towards the end where there's two parts in that movie that's amazing. But one of them is when this guy is trying to save this kid and he's pushing the kid through this hole, but he doesn't get out fast enough and the ant eats him. And I remember, like, just that like, oh my God, like, he couldn't have got out, he couldn't have, and he put the kid before himself. So there was that, and there was also a moment where these people who were in like a psych ward were talking about giant ants, and the army people were there interviewing them, and they were talking about the big ants, and the army guys were like, oh no, we understand, absolutely, no, we'll get to the bottom of this, thank you for sharing it. And they're saying like, oh, everyone thinks we're crazy, no, no, we understand. And then they go and you see them talking to the people who run the asylum. That guy's crazy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then when they leave, they go and fight these giant ants, and I remember thinking how awful that was, but also
Right.
very true about our government and how they lie to us and hide things. But anyway, so those were important. The movie Unholy, the second Nightmare on Elm Street. There was a movie called Gargoyles I loved. There was a movie called Stuff, which Chocolate Chip
Oh
Charlie and all that
man.
love. I've got props for the stuff in my house. I've got these, like, the containers that has the stuff in it, literally.
Yeah.
But all that being said, everything pales in comparison to House, which is why I'm wearing this shirt right now. There was, when I grew up in Pennsylvania, there was a midday movie marathon called Craftmatic. It was about these beds, I think, that like folded up. And so they would have like the Craftmatic bed story hour or something, and they would play an edited version of House. And that's where I was introduced to it. So they had kind of a Elvira kind of thing where they would break away from the movie to
Sure.
talk about their beds. And I was blown away. And in particular, my sister and I, the scene in the movie where the shell rolls off the table and Sandy goes down to look at it and then pops up as Sandy Witch, which is what I found out the people on set called it. Uh, that jump scare was amazing, but the movie is fantastic between humor and scare, morality, good versus evil, the surprises. I mean, buddy, when Big Ben is chasing Roger Cobb through the house and he opens the one door and falls on a cliff and he's hanging by his hands and he uses his belt to grab Ben and throw him off. He explodes on the rocks beneath, but it's not over yet. He's still in the house. What is happening? What is this movie? I have literally watched it hundreds of times. I have watched it with the captions on. I have went to it was Days of the Dead, Monster Palooza, all these events where I've talked to people who worked on the movie. I have a friend of mine, Pat Jankiewicz, who interviewed Roger Cobb for a book about the Greatest American Superhero TV show, and so he talked about him in House. He compared the first one versus the fourth one because he came back to make that
Yeah.
appearance and die and not talk about his son and all this stuff. But so I am the biggest geek for House. If you went in my condo, I've got things. Oh, you can actually kind of see it. Like, right up there on the tippy top. That is a recreation of the poster
Hmm.
that she was painting, the painting. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I even have, like, I mean, literally the boys in the window. And then over here is a house diorama signed by Fred Decker, who wrote the screenplay. In the middle, which you can't see, I can grab it and bring it down. I just don't want to have to use a ladder to get back up there. There's a pin for it. There's tons of memorabilia, and I have stuff next to me right now. I'll show you a little bit just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that these were available, but some fan out there was making a little Big Ben.
Oh, dude, that's so dope.
Well, it's gonna get doper. And so areas from behind, and it's like a physical little guy, but he's not the only one. They had four from the movie, and that's Big Ben. There's also Sandy Witch,
Sandy Witch. God, that's so
Say Your
incredible.
Prayers,
Yeah.
and the Bat Demon with the gun in the mirror.
When it does the shotgun flip.
Yep. And One of the gremlins in the chimney that steals the kid
Yes. That
shows up
thing
on the
haunted
side.
my dreams as a kid. Yes, right at the doorway right there, man. Um,
Well, that's one of the things the movie does so well is these glimpses. When you really break it down as a filmmaker, which I know you are, when the creature comes out of the closet, you
mhm.
barely see it. It's reaching a claw, it's got like three heads, and you're like, what is it? And that's part of the scare. It happens so fast and then it's gone, and you're like, what is that? It's almost like the hell scenes from Event Horizon, where you have to do it frame by frame to see all these horrible, you're almost like, why would you put all the effort in and then not really show it?
It was a raccoon, man. That's what it was.
It was.
He
And
had to,
by the way, solitude is always better with somebody else around.
it is always better with somebody else. And I'm with you. Like my parents owned a mom and pop video store growing up, and my grandma got tired of watching Thundercats, so she was like, "Let's pick out a movie." And I was always drawn to that cover art with the hand. And so I was just like, "Let's watch this one, Grandma." And like my life changed after that moment. Like even that first jump scare when you have Mrs. Hooper, and you walk in, you get the loud violin swell when she's hanged herself in the bedroom. Like that completely rocked me as a kid. Like I didn't know what I was seeing, and I've been so in love and immersed in what amazing, and like you were talking about earlier, this movie is everything. It's a horror
Yes.
movie, it's a war story, it's a love story, it's a family
Have you
drama, it's a
have you been
comedy.
have you been to the location? Have you been to the house?
Oh yeah, we took a
Okay,
trip to
good.
California just so we could go there, man.
Good. Yeah, me too, me too. Do you know the name of the actress who hangs herself?
I do not
Susan
see.
French. And she was in a bunch of other movies, including that great movie with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour, the one that was done at Mackinac Island. What's it called? Somewhere in Time. Somewhere in Time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, Mackinac Island, that's Michigan, right here.
Yes. Oh, you're in Michigan?
I am.
How far are you from Mackinac?
Oh, 6 hours. We're at the very bottom of the state.
Okay. I
Yeah,
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I dated a girl in Centerline, Michigan when I was in high school.
that's awesome, man. You,
Yeah.
so you know all about the mitten, like how to show where you live. Um, and with
I
House, like this is such a
we've got
movie that
this amazing trivia book. At some point, we'll just pick some random stuff and just see, because I'm sure it'll be fun. There's 100 questions in here and 100 answers, so we'll see.
right. So we know you were young when you saw House for the first time, brother. But do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
Well, it would definitely be the jump scare because I never saw that coming, and then it was something. I would say the reason that movie, for good or for bad, the reason it hit me so hard was the practicality of the ghosts and of the haunting. I mean, think about it. Name another, because it's not a zombie movie. It's a
Right,
haunted house movie, and yet he's able to chop somebody's head off, so you killed your dead monster and then you bury it in the backyard, a ghost. Like, this is the part that messed me up as a kid because it really brought things into it. So it's not just that, ooh, something's in the closet, but it's more that something can put a gun to my head. Like, it's a
right.
whole different layer of scary. And so when she says the say your prayers, your son's at this house and you'll never find him,
You'll
that
never
is what
find him.
that's what scared the crap out of me as a kid. And not to share too much about it, but I had a traumatic childhood, which is what a lot of us do have when we get into horror. And my mother had issues and mental problems, so when she would say there are demons in your closet under your bed, and then I watch a movie like House, I'm picturing these things are there. That's why people who aren't horror fans are like, how can you get into this? How can you watch this stuff? That was my Disneyland.
Right.
My youth was watching these horrible, horror, scary, vicious, violent movies.
So we got to do at least a couple quiz questions real quick because I,
Okay.
I got to see what we got. So you
All right.
you go with the first one.
How many do you want to do?
Let's do three apiece. I just want to see how we do on this.
Well, okay, here's the scary thing about that. That's an even number, Goober. We could end up tied. So you gotta pick an odd number.
Hmm. I
Seven,
mean,
5?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's do 5 questions total.
Okay, 5 total. Okay. All right. So that way I'm just curiously, like playfully to see who comes out on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fun.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick a random number. I'm gonna pick 13. Originally, I was gonna have you pick them so you knew I didn't trick this, like look at the answers ahead of time. But if you trust me, I'll pick 13, the unlucky number. All right.
Okay.
So 13, here's question 13. Prior to directing House, how many Friday the 13th movies had House director Steve Miner directed? So the director of the movie had directed some Friday the 13th movies before House. And the options on here, by the way, are 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I
Now,
thought it was.
obviously, the way it's
I thought it was
worded makes
3.
the way it's worded makes you think he went on to do 1 or 2 after this movie. You know what I mean?
Right. So I'm gonna go with 3. I'm gonna say 3. My gut's telling me 2, but I'm going with 3.
Yeah, you say 3. I'm gonna say 1.
Okay.
I know it was in the 80s and stuff. I'm gonna go with 1. By the way, I have a friend of mine who wrote and directed one of the Friday the 13th. His name is
Oh,
Barney
really?
Cohen. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome, man.
he's a buddy of mine. Okay, so let me look up the answer to 13. It's in the back here. Oh, I didn't realize, buddy. There was 100 regular questions, and then they have a section for difficult questions.
No.
So I guess they get even more difficult. Weird. All right. But okay, so we did 13, and the answer is 2. Up until this, Steve Miner had done Friday the 13th Part 2 and Part 3.
Yeah.
So,
Like I said, my gut was telling me 2, but I wanted to go with 3. I thought 3 was the safer answer. So
well, neither of us got that one. So you pick the next number. What number do you say?
72.
All right. 72. All right, brother. 72. Which company released the House Complete Collection Blu-ray box set in 2017? And here are the 4 options. Either 88 Films, Second Sight Films, Arrow Video, or 101 Films.
I don't have this set because I'm gonna go with Arrow because Arrow seems the logical to me. So I'm gonna go with Arrow on this one.
You know, I'm surprised they didn't have something like Vinegar Syndrome or something I was more familiar with. I'm going to, since you said Arrow, which by the way I think is a great option. I'm just guessing. I'm gonna go Second Sight. So I'm gonna say B, Second Sight, and let me look that up. 72. All right, 72. The answer is ba 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 ba. You get your first win. Arrow Video. The
All right.
UK release contained all 4 movies, while the US release, entitled Two Stories, only contained the first 2 movies.
First 2.
So, right, so you get your first, you get your star. I'm gonna pick 69 because I'm a child.
Got to.
All right. For 69, it is when Roger tells Harold that he saw a large raccoon in the house. What does Harold refer to it as? And here are your options: Jaws the raccoon, Godzilla the raccoon, Frankenstein the raccoon, or Cujo the raccoon.
D.
I also feel like it's Cujo. Let's I know that might throw off our tie thing, but let me check out Cujo. I feel like it's Cujo. And we are both right. It is Cujo the raccoon. All right, so you are still leading by 1, sir.
All right. Next we'll go with 59.
All right. 59. Aside from her acting credits, what is Mary Stavin, who plays Tanya, best known for? And here are your 4 options: winning the Eurovision Song Contest in 1977, winning Miss World in 1977, marrying Roger Moore in 1977, or singing at Elvis Presley's funeral in 1977?
Oh man, I don't know. Um, I'm gonna go with C.
Which one?
C.
So you're saying marrying Roger Moore.
Maybe
Uh,
no. Yeah, yeah. We'll go with Roger. Let's see if I'm right on that one.
I'm gonna go with Miss World because I felt like it had to be something about her beauty. So I thought it was gonna be like centerfold for something.
Sure.
Okay, so I go beauty, and you say marrying Roger Moore. So you're saying she wouldn't pass the Bechdel test. Got it. All right. So 59. The answer is winning Miss World in 1977.
Yes.
I have just tied it up
Hell yeah.
because we're going into our last question.
Last question, baby. For those of you
I get to
watching, man, this is so much fun. I hope that you guys are playing along with us at home.
Yeah, for sure. Especially you, Sean Cunningham. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an option. So we're in on this together. I could either go with question one or question 100. Which would you like, first or last, alpha or omega?
Alpha. Let's go. Let's go number one.
All right. Number one on the list, in the opening credits, which letter of the title house is zoomed into, revealing the exterior of the house? Is it the H, the O, the U, or the S?
I want to say it's the O. Voodoo. I'm gonna go with O. I'm gonna go with O.
Okay, I feel like O is a trick. I feel like O is the easiest way to go into. That's
Right.
why I'm going to go with U. I think
Yeah.
it's the U.
And watch,
All
it's
right,
gonna be
so you go O, I go U, and our answer is for the win, whoever this is. I swear to God, buddy, you can go double check it later. I'm not making it up. The U. It is,
See,
the
and
answer is
I
C,
thought
the
it.
U.
I thought it might be because it was in the middle. That's why I was thinking it was the middle. But I was like, ah, man, it's in the middle. Maybe that's too cliche. But dude, that was so much fun. Thank you for doing that. That was great. I need to get that book so we can do this back and forth, man. Like that is so
It's
much fun.
it's available. I think I just ordered it off of Amazon. Um, they have a House Movie Massacre Part 7. They've got a bunch of fun stuff in here, but the primary thing is the trivia. Wow. Yeah. So there we go. That was a close call. It came down to the wire. And
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Talking about House, and obviously this movie means so much to both of us, and this is a hard question even for me to answer, but what would you say your favorite scene from the film is?
well, it is tricky because I've watched it so many times, and I always find that I appreciate something else a little bit more.
Right.
Like I'll give you an example. Right now, off the top of my head, I'm gonna say I love the scene where he's talking to the realtor, where Roger's talking to the realtor, and he and the realtor has that spear gun, and he's just anyway, she was diving for abalone off of, and he shoots the freaking thing right into the wall right next to his damn neck, and
Is
then
it
just moves on. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's pretty great. Another
yeah.
one I would say, and I only know this from watching it a million times, in the scene where he breaks the mirror in the bathroom and the tentacle monster comes through and starts to wrap onto him and he's fighting it, the panel for the mirror comes away from the wall. So you can see that it's not just a mirror, but literally the panel moves away from the wall. So you can see that it's a set. And so I appreciate that. And I love that as somebody who's watched it a million times. I'll tell you something else that as an adult watching the movie, I never thought about this as a kid. Buddy, if this was really happening to you at your home, how could you ever sleep there?
Right. Right.
He's vulnerable when he sleeps.
And he sleeps in his son's bed of all things.
What you tell your demonic haunted house, time out, I'm gonna get an 8-hour shut eye?
Bedtime, guys. I need to go take care of this. So with House, we know it is getting the remake treatment. It's something that we all know. It's been announced. Is this something you're excited about, or do you think that this is a classic they should leave alone?
It's tricky because the question always with that is on the one hand, we have a love and appreciation for something that was so good. On the
Mhm.
other hand, by doing a remake, it draws attention to the series, to the original.
Right.
Um, I'm a big fan of I Spit on Your Grave. And when they did the remakes, three of the remakes, and then the awful sequel to the original, I it was an opportunity to at least let people know about it, that it exists, that it's out there. So that's why it's such a mix. I got to meet Mayor Zarki, the guy who put it all together, and I always I Spit on Your Grave, and I always had such an appreciation, a love for that movie. I don't know if you've listened to the commentary where he talks about it and his inspiration for making it, and the Joe Bob Briggs commentary. But just the anyway, I'm a huge fan, and so when I think about remakes and whatnot, House has had three sequels.
Mhm.
I don't know what's up with that horror show. I mean, that's a whole other bag of worms, but sort of, three sequels, and now they're doing a remake, which you give me the cue when, and I'll start telling you about that.
I mean, whatever you can talk about, please do. But like I said, anything that would get either one of us in trouble, let's curb that. But I would love to hear whatever you can talk about.
Yeah, great. I'll talk about it. So, here's the deal. A friend of mine who, I don't want to get him in trouble, so I won't say his name, but a friend of mine who is an actor, a working actor, and a writer, um, Sean Cunningham, the producer of a lot like Friday the 13th and House and just a ton of movies. He has a really big home in the Los Angeles area. It's one of the Jackson homes, like one of the Michael Jackson family homes. And he
Yeah.
bought it and has a big tennis court. He keeps his pug dogs there. And when you walk up there, it's a mansion, like it's big. And you go through like the tennis court, and there's an outdoor gazebo area where he has script reading. So he will invite actor students to come and read scripts for their movies and get feedback from people. And so it's kind of you're a vetted, like you have to be in the industry or anointed by somebody in the industry. So when he told me about this, I already had a dear friend actress that I can mention her name because she didn't invite me there for this. Amanda Moyer. She's a great actress. She was in, I think it's called Days of Halloween. Uh, if you've ever seen that, the Dana Gould collection, it's like a Tales from the Crypt. It had a theatrical release. Days of Halloween, Nights of Halloween, something like that. Anyway, she's great. She's wonderful. I put her in my movie Hell's Coming for You. She gets shot in a hot air balloon, and anyway, so she used to go to his events, and she's the one who, in passing, I mentioned something about House, and she told me that yes, it is getting a remake, and I've been to the script readings for it. To which I lost my mind. And what? What are you talking about? What is it like? What is and so, and if it gets too dark, I can turn a light on, by the way. I can see the sun setting here. Um, so I asked her about it. She told me a lot. And then it just so happened that another friend of mine was also a big fan of House, and he had been invited to go. And so he asked if he could bring a plus one, and I was the plus one. So I went and I attended, and they did a reading of the script as it was then. You know how it is, these things can
Yeah,
adjust.
absolutely. In workshops.
But I sat there and I listened to a full reading of the House remake. And so, there are things I can tell you about it, and there are thoughts I have about it. And I didn't sign any NDA or waiver or anything like that. So, and plus, with the way these things change, I'm happy to tell you. So, I mean, do you want to know things I like, didn't like? Do you have any specific questions?
As long as it's nothing spoiler related, then yes, I'm fine. But I kind of want to. I want to be as blind as I can going into this. But all I really want to know, is it its own movie, or do they really stick by a lot of what the OG did?
Instead of a child being lost to the house, it is a sister to the main girl who is playing the part of a Roger Cobb. So she had an issue where her sister was a photographer for the safari, and so they were on a trip together, and the sister who was living in the house was distracted by something, and the sister got eaten by a lion, got mauled, got killed. So similar to how Roger left his friend to die in Vietnam, she was distracted and let her sister get killed by a lion. And so a lot of the themes of the movie involved the safari. So it's more like, you open a closet and there's a lion in there, that sort of thing.
Sure.
So it's taken an element of that. It does involve a hand, so there is a miscellaneous hand. There's also a miscellaneous head. It is the head of like a boyfriend she had who was a jerk, and now they get some jokes out through this talking head. Um, so I would say it's got a little bit of House 2 in it. You know what I mean? As far
I
as
was I'm
that,
hearing a lot of House too.
yes, yes. So I think it's more like he's combining things he liked from House and House 2.
This
It's
sounds like a completely different film. Like you could put any title on this film and it would work.
Yeah, yeah. So it was disappointing. I was glad that I was able to see it. I was glad I was able to experience it. And I
Right.
was glad I was able to meet Sean. I've met him twice. I met him at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm looking at a picture of him and me on my wall here that that I got his signing, and he's a swell guy, and there's nothing bad to say about his pedigree and what he's done and his commitment. I just don't think this is going to be it's interesting sometimes when a creator doesn't know what's so great about their own creation. And you see this a lot. You see this a lot where Mayor Zarki, I just told you, I love I Spit on Your Grave. And I don't know if you've seen I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu, but spoiler alert, you might as well just not flush your toilet for a week. It is not good. It is not good.
Any type of sexual assault, revenge type movies, I can't get into. I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong with them. I've just experienced it on such a personal level that I can't like separate
But
art.
that's why. That's why he made it. I don't know if you
Right.
know the story, but his daughter and him came across a woman who had been assaulted in a park. Okay, you know
Yeah.
this story? Okay.
Yeah. And
So
it's
he made it as a way for her to get back at those people.
like I said, that's neither here nor there because what I want to talk about is the masterful movie that is House. And one of my favorite things about this movie is it's able to blend all these different things together. So what I want to do real quick, if you had to rate House, and we're talking about just how it affected you, not how well the movie is made, not the direction, the score, anything like that, but zero skulls being not effective, five being extremely effective, what would your ranking of House be? Just on how
It's
much
a
it
five.
affected you on first viewing.
It's a five, and it's a top 10 horror movies of all time. Listen, it's but what do I call you by the way? You may call you Sledge. What do you want me to call you?
You can call me Ken.
Ken?
Yeah.
Ken? Okay, so Ken, it is my top 10 horror movie of all time. And the greatest compliment I can give a movie is would I watch it right now? That's always the way I gauge these things. The top of the pyramid is somebody comes over, they've never seen it. Would I watch it with them? Yes. The answer is always yes. And I have just a few on that list. In the Mouth of Madness is one of them. Martin is one of them. Blood Sucking Freaks is one of them. And when you House is on that list for me. House is what I would recommend to somebody who has never been properly introduced to the horror film genre, somebody who doesn't appreciate it, somebody who tells us um it's something to be shameful about, something like
Right.
it's like porn, and that's because they're thinking of movies like Saw and Hostel, where all it is torturing people. They don't understand the beauty of storytelling, of the
Yes.
cinematic, of the music. Come on, when the music cues kick in,
Dude.
like it has such a good at the end when he takes his son from Big Ben and you can't hurt me anymore because I'm not afraid, buddy. If that doesn't give you shivers, you're dead. You should be buried in the
Yeah.
backyard. Like it is damn good on every. I can't think. Can you think of anything wrong with that movie?
No. The old no.
I mean, I think about Howard Next Door. I think about his ex-wife. I think about I can't think of anything wrong with that movie. I mean, you could tell what a fan I am. Here's me trying desperately to find something bad. Unfortunately, that movie does not pass the Bechdel test, which is important for me in my filmmaking. I always make sure my movies do pass it because, not that I'm the world's biggest feminist, but it's such a basic, simple thing to pass. If you can't have a movie with two female characters with identifying names who talk to each other about anything other than a man, I think that's
Yeah.
creepy. And some really big movies fail the Bechdel test. The Tom Holland Spider-Man fails the Bechdel test. What women are in the movie? His girlfriend, his mom. Like there are no women who just talk about anything other than my man. So,
Right.
for me, sadly, that's House. What women are in the movie? His girlfriend, his what is it, grandma or aunt? I think it's his
His
aunt,
aunt.
right? So what the hell? Like maybe I would throw, maybe if I had it to do over, I would have made Howard a woman or something like that.
Right.
No, that wouldn't pass it. It has to be two women. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't. It does. This one doesn't work, but that's me fighting because it's so good. I can't like the fish on the wall flopping around is amazing. The little clippers trying to get you are amazing. The little monsters in the chimney. It's kind of weird. And again, we're fans, so we're talking lovingly as fans. The whole thing where the sexy girl leaves him to watch her son.
Dude,
That's a little odd, right?
but dude, and it's so funny because that is one scene where as a kid that you didn't think anything of it because you're so naive and innocent.
Speaking of things you don't think about because you're naive and innocent, my mother, when she watched that movie with us, she picked up on something I never did. When he's playing with the kid in the bathtub and he gives him a buzz off from He-Man. And then
Yeah.
he says, you want to play with something here? Buzz off? How about if I give you something else to play with, like a nice plastic bag? My mother was like, he just threatened to kill that kid.
Like,
I never caught that. I was like, what?
right. Yeah, this kid I've known for 10 minutes. I just want to kill him.
Have you ever met a
But
kid? There's a lot like that.
But yeah, I do want to again, Tim, say thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me because like doing the trivia, doing the quizzes, that is so much fun to me, man. So to be able to do that with you, I'd like to dedicate a whole live episode to doing some trivia like that. So I think that that's something you and I can make happen. And yeah, like you said, there's 100 regular questions and then deeper questions. I think we could
Yeah.
do a whole live episode and have people on the channel join in with comments about stuff. I think we could have a lot of fun with that. So
Let's do one of the deeper ones if you don't mind.
let's do it.
Okay, so difficult. It says house hauntingly difficult questions, and I'll tell you how many. Okay, so there aren't a lot of those. Oh my God, bro. Okay, yeah, okay. So there's 11 super difficult ones. Pick your favorite number.
7.
Okay, we're gonna do 7. Hauntingly difficult. Here it is. What are the first names of the twin boys who portray Roger and Sandy's son Jimmy in House?
No
So
idea. I'm
here are the
so bad with that
answers.
type of stuff, man.
I know I mean they're not cheating. It's part of the movie. Like they're the actors.
Right.
We know who William Cat is. We know who
Right.
Richard Mall is. All right, so I won't even read it. Hit me with another question, or I'll pick one. 11. Let's see what the last one is. Uh, which film director is featured on the painting in Aunt Elizabeth's room depicting a man being impaled by a marlin?
I remember the painting, but I don't know.
They say there's a film director featured on it.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say Hitchcock. Let's go with Hitchcock.
That's a great question. I mean, that's a great answer. I'll tell you, the answer is somebody I wouldn't even recognize, but now it's a reason to go back and watch it. They say Joe Dante.
Oh, nice. Well, now I need to go rewatch that scene. I'll rewatch the whole damn movie at that point. Let's do one more before we cut this out.
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's go with 3.
You know what, bro? I was thinking 3. I swear to God. If you had,
Yes.
I would have picked 3. Okay. Number 3. By which name was the monster in Closet Puppet known by the film crew? And here are the 4 options. I feel like if you're as big a fan as I am, when I read it, we'll both know. Okay. Number 1. Oh yeah, I think we'll know this. Number 1. Okay. So okay. The Closet Critter, the War Beast, Fozzie, or the War Demon.
Man, I'm either B or D for me.
Sure, of course. Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go with D. I'll go with War Demon.
I agree. I also think it's the demon. I feel like that would, because it's pretty demonic looking, right?
Yeah.
And the answer is D, the War Demon.
Let's go.
The puppet for this was a huge practical construction that required 15 people to operate it. So
That's amazing,
how about that
man.
for you and I on this? Like, we barely right to the end of the other one, and then this one, we picked the same question, we picked the same answers. We're simpatico.
Love it, man. And I know I said it at the beginning, guys, but I have all of Tim's social media links as well as the descriptions down in the description for the Spooky Ninja Kitty line of books. So make sure you guys are checking those out. And like I said, I got to bring Tim back, and we're going to do a whole episode live featuring you guys. You guys can come in on with your comments, join us on the live. Let me know in the comments. Is that something you would like to see? What does house mean to you guys? Does it mean as much to you as it does Tim and I? If you guys have Tim, don't go anywhere, my friend. I do have a couple more questions for you. Everyone else, if you haven't
have you ever
already,
had Mark Savage on your show? Mark Savage, director of like 14 horror movies, just did a werewolf movie with Tito Ortiz. He's a
uh-uh,
buddy of mine. I'm sure he'd love to come on.
let me know. Let's make it happen. To everybody else, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.